Hello everyone, we are going to make pound cake inspired by a lovely recipe from Julia Child's cookbook called Baking with Julia. And so I grew up watching The Galloping Gourmet and of course Julia Child, and I just really value what she's done for, especially for us women working in the industry. Anyway, we are making pound cake, and originally when this recipe was developed, it was proportions of 1 pound each of 4 ingredients: butter, sugar, eggs, and flour. So over time, this recipe has evolved, and many recipes are produced using a leavener, such as baking powder. So, but originally, if you creamed the butter and sugar well, you would definitely get a rise. So we're doing one with baking powder. So I've already pre-sifted my flour and salt and baking powder. The ingredients for this recipe are going to be 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2 sticks of butter, 2 cups of sugar, granulated, 3 eggs, 1 cup of milk room temperature, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, when I am formulating recipes, I write everything down, and I encourage students to group things together with one simple term in terms of what are you going to do with those ingredients at that stage. So and it's always in the order. So your ingredients in any cookbook typically are listed in order that they're going to be used. So my first 3 ingredients, for example, would be sifting my dry ingredients together, creaming my butter and sugar, adding my eggs, and then last, alternating my milk with my dry ingredients. So first thing that you are going to do is heat your oven to 350 degrees, and then you're going to take care of your pan. So I pre-buttered a pan here. It's a tube pan that pound cakes are typically baked in, or you could do a loaf pan, which would also be pretty nice. And I'm going to add some flour to that. Now, could you do pan spray? You could, but that would just be a disgrace. You should definitely utilize butter, and it gives it a nice little crust, yes? And then you got to kind of shake it up and move it around in here so that it gets to the tube part in the center, because you don't want your cake to be stuck in the pan. So make sure that you are generous both with the butter and the flour, and then we'll tap out the additional stuff. Yes, we don't need that extra flour in there, yeah? So we'll tap that out, do away with it, and that was tapped out, and so now your pan is ready. You can do that ahead of time and even put it into the refrigerator. So we are going to cream our butter and sugar first. 2 sticks of butter and my 2 cups of sugar. And so there's a high percentage of sugar in here. So one thing that sugar is going to do is help to leaven this cake. So we're going to beat this together, or cream this together. We're using the creaming method for this cake, and that's because butter and sugar have to be creamed together. So sugar has a couple of functions. It's a high percentage of sugar in this recipe. It's going to act as a tenderizer, or it's going to increase tenderness in the cake because it's shortening the gluten strands. And then you have a leavening agent. So the sugar acts as a leavening agent with the butter and helps it to expand, and it's going to get creamed together, and it's going to become nice and fluffy and light. And then it also has great keeping qualities. So sugar happens to maintain moisture in products. So I'm flavoring this particular pound cake with half vanilla, and I also have a little bit of almond extract. So growing up, my mom always used almond extract in cakes. So I've come to love it, and I'm very fond of it. Of course, you can make some adjustments with this cake by removing some of the flour and adding cocoa powder into it. Or you can do a marbled pound cake with vanilla and chocolate. So, and also you can incorporate some flavor in the end, which I might do. I'll poke some holes with a toothpick, and then I'll make some simple syrup, maybe flavored with lemon, and do a lemon glaze, and then it'll really, kind of find its way into the cake. So you can see that it's changing colors. It's become nice and light and fluffy. And keep in mind your butter needs to be on the soft side. All right, you don't want chunks of butter when you're trying to cream. So you see that? Yes. Alrighty. But make sure, always lift the bottom so that you don't have any chunks that aren't creamed, because once I add the liquid ingredients, you will not be able to cream it anymore. It won't be a homogeneous mixture. You'll be stuck with some chunks. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to incorporate my eggs. I'm going to mix this just a little bit longer to get a little bit more leavening and fluffiness. My eggs are also room temperature. I'm going to add one at a time. Lower the temperature, not the temperature, lower the speed at which you are adding your eggs. And then I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to scrape down the sides. To be sure, with each addition of egg, it's thoroughly incorporated into the butter mixture. Then I'll increase it a bit, turn it down, add your next egg, and repeat that process. Let it get mixed in thoroughly. And when I can no longer see evidence of the egg, I'm going to shut it off. Go around the sides. Lift the bottom. And then I will, again, increase it a bit. Turn it down. Add my last egg. So if the eggs aren't at room temperature, you might have some separation issues going on in here. So be certain. You can always take your eggs and put them into a bowl of warm water to bring them to temperature. Your milk will also need to be room temperature. So you might want to scale out your ingredients ahead of time. And if time is not on your side, then you might decide to just shoot it, like hit defrost on your microwave setting, and then you could just for a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds or so, just to take the chill off. Okay, you don't want to heat it up completely. So that is good. So now I'm ready to alternate my flour and my milk, starting and ending with my flour. I'm going to take my vanilla extract. I'm just going to go ahead and add it into my milk, and I will add 1/3 of my flour. that has been sifted with my salt and my baking powder. Make sure it's on low speed. Get it incorporated. You can turn it up a tad bit. And I'm going to add half of my milk. Just increase it a little so I don't over mix it. I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to scrape down the sides. Turn it back on. Turn it down. I'm going to add another third of my flour. And add the remainder of my milk. I could smell the vanilla and the almond extract. Don't overdo it. It's a nice, lovely, rich, buttery cake. So let's go ahead, scrape the sides down so you don't end up with any chunkiness. This step is very important to do, yeah? And now I'll turn that on, get it going again, incorporate what I dragged down from the sides, and now I will incorporate the last of my flour. All the milk is in. I need to hire a dishwasher. The ones that live in this house don't actually work. So that's me like grunting and being a little, you see that well? Venting and grunting. That looks like about it. So I'm going to remove my paddle attachment. Okay, let me wash my hands, and we are going to take care of that. Okay, so my pan is ready to go. So now I'm going to pour in my batter. Oh, yummy. This is so good with a cup of milk or a milk-like product or a cup of coffee. Oh my gosh, I love this cake. I don't love cakes a lot, but this one I do like a lot. That, and if I had to choose another, it would be yellow cake chocolate icing. Oh, there's a few more. Now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't say that I don't like cake so much, because I love opera cake. And I love devil's food cake with like a Black Forest cake with cherries. That's what I'm going to do later. So now I have managed to get all of that in there, and now it's going to go into an oven for about 1 hour, and we will return when it is about ready. So it's been approximately 1 hour with the pound cake in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to check, skewer test, or toothpick, yeah. Comes out nice and clean, all right? So we're going to pull that out of the oven and put it on a cooling rack, and we will not release it from the pan until it is 100% cooled down.